All right, what's going on, folks? Welcome to Got Your Back. YEG live stream post-game edition. Well, that was a bit of a nail-biter for Oiler fans. Hey, pretty good Boston team. They're good at hanging on to leads, too. Oilers did a nice job closing out a game against a team that not so long ago Connor McDavid said about them, winning is a skill, and they have it mastered. Well, tonight, the Oilers did something nobody has done before, and that's come back on the Boston Bruins in regulation after giving them the first goal. Big win for the Oilers tonight. We're going to get to Terry Ryan and Jason Strudwick in just a moment. But first, a reminder, Got Your Back brought to you by Mr. Dirk, located just off White Avenue and 102nd Street. Mr. Dirk is your one-stop shop for all your clothing needs. If you're a businessman needing to look sharp at your next meeting, or if you want to tighten up that look around the office, they got a wide selection of great shirts and suits, pants, dress shoes, ties, pocket squares, everything you need to show that you were on your game. Lots of great casual clothing as well. Mr. Dirk, definitely a great spot to hit for all of your clothing needs. Okay, we got the fellas. Now, in varying degrees, we have the fellas. We got Terry Ryan. We have his video, but we don't have his audio, so he's coming in over the phone. And Jason Strudwick, also on the road, so both the fellas are on the phone tonight. Guys, can you hear me? Can you hear each other?
All right, road trip in time.
Road trip is happening.
Road trip, yes. I think it's right between
Hang on, TR. That was messy. That was really messy. I couldn't really hear much of that. Hang on, give me one more audio check here, TR. We're doing this live, folks, so bear with us. One more audio check, TR.
Yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, coming at you from.
Those like $9.99 on Amazon, those Bluetooth headphones. Like, what do we got going on there, buddy? So, you know what? We might have to scrap. We might have to scrap the Bluetooth and see if you can just turn your audio back on, and we'll see if we can bring you in over the computer. I swear, folks, we did test this all out a couple of minutes ago, and everything was actually working pretty good. And then, of course, soon as we get up live, everything goes to heck. TR, mess around there for a minute. Struddy, you're on the road, but listen, that was a gutsy win from the Oilers, and that Boston team knows how to hang on to leads. So for them to grab one the way they did was pretty impressive.
Well, what they've done this year, Boston and Seattle, I would win if they had a lead after the first or second period. They had it, at least not a regulation, I should say. So it's really impressive what the Oilers are doing. They get down 2-0, and that's like, oh, it's like a dagger through their heart. That last goal or the second goal in the end of the first period. But they find a way. They must have settled down and say, hey, let's just find our game. I'm not sure if Boston must have put off the gas or if the Oilers started pushing harder to get on. I want to believe it's probably a combination of both. But the Oilers found their groove. And what was incredible is it wasn't the big guys. The big guys got a lot of attention to it. Leon Draisaitl behind and obviously Connor McDavid. But it was that second tier of players, couple of picks, and at the bottom line, they get the offense for the Oilers. And that was a great team win. Like, that is one that you can really say, hey, look what we did. We were down 2-0. We come back. We win in regulation in their building. We do something no one's done all year. I think that's a fantastic win for the Oilers, and something you can really be proud of moving forward.
Oh, Strut, I hate to tell you, buddy, but Luch1717 just said, is this English? Your Bluetooth is garbage too. I don't know what's going on with you two guys. Like, you sounded like R2D2, and that was all pixelated and bizarre. TR, I don't even know if I could hear you right now. TR, talk to me. Nope. I can't hear you either, TR. Oh, man, we got a disaster happening, folks. We're live, and neither guy's audio is working. Struds, I don't know. Are you just on a bad Bluetooth there? What do you got going on?
I think I sound pretty clear.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's going to work. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to improvise. Struds, I don't think your Bluetooth is going to work. It's really pixelated and crummy. So no worries. We're getting chirped so hard on the stream right now. This is good. Feel free to chirp us, folks. We deserve it. We got to tighten this up a little bit. Okay, TR, I'm calling you on the phone. Okay, Struddy, I'm letting you go. TR, I'm calling you on the phone, and you're just going to talk on the phone. No Bluetooth $9.99 headset garbage from you, TR. So here comes my call. So you want a live stream. Hey, folks, you asked me to live stream, and now this is what we get.
You've reached Terry Ryan.
Oh, my goodness.
I'll get back to you.
You screened me. You absolute donkey. You just screened me. TR, we're live on the air, but I'm going to need you to go ahead and answer your phone real quick.
That was an accident. I'm sorry, I went to hit it. I tapped
Okay,
you.
now you got to mute your audio on the computer again, because now it's all reverberating back into my head. Wow, folks, hey? Nothing but
here we
budget
go.
here on Got Your Back. There we go. All right, we've got Terry Ryan, and we've got a good, clear phone signal. Unfortunately, we lost Jason Strudwick, but you know what? We're going to sit here and look at nice little pictures of his face. Okay, you know what? Let's get to the breakdown. Brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. They supply some of the nicest maintenance-free fencing and decking out there. If you've always had the wood fence in your backyard and it's getting a little dicey, well, give them a try. It's fantastic, maintenance-free vinyl product. No staining, no sanding, no painting. DLR Vinyl Products locations in Calgary and in Edmonton. Got your back? How about got no audio? Says JMac 1974. They're about to do a conference call on speakerphone, said Commando Pisani. And then, okay, this is better than the game. Shane Can America. All right, folks, we deserve our chirps. TR, let's get to the game, man. That Boston team is legit. And that had to be a patient effort from the Oilers, didn't it?
Really did. They were tight, checking tight. The Boston Bruins pretty much showed up with exactly what I thought they would show up with. You know, they were checking the Oilers pretty tight, especially the players that you're used to scoring a lot. So, like Strud said, the third and fourth line had to step up. But it was a matter of time. I'm not saying a matter of time until the Oilers won it, but the Oilers played pretty well as well. I thought the Bruins were sloppy at times, and the Oilers played a perfect road game. You know what I'm talking? You go on the road and you want to give yourself a chance to win, especially against a good team. Not only a good team, but a team that's a setting records type of team. And you go in and do exactly what you're supposed to do or you wanted to do, and you came across it by just being patient.
Love you, boys, says Kyle Four North. He recognizes that we're struggling. Another good chirp there. JL says, is Struddy calling in from the West Edmonton Mall submarine? That's a solid one. Attaboy, JL. Seeking Sand Guru says, I'm available, can hop on right now. He's been a regular here on the stream, so we appreciate it. Omar says, LOL, this podcast is struggling. Ha, poor Shogger. Nothing worse than trying to coordinate a couple of goons through a conference call. All right. Okay, so let's talk about the start for the Oilers and how they got a little bit lucky there with the one goal. Really sharp, though. I mean, their video staff has been so good at these calls this year, knowing when the right time is to have those reviews. They've been really good. So they dodge a bullet there, TR, but then they just let up for a minute right towards the end of the period. And that was just a dagger at the end of the first period there that got them down a couple of goals.
And I mean, you know what's coming. Like, there's one place on the whole ice that you don't want that puck to go. And you could see it, and it was delayed, and then you see the stick, and you see Pasternak. You wonder sometimes, like, I honestly don't expect to get that open in shinny. And for one of the best scorers in the game, literally one of the best snipers on planet Earth, to find a way to get open with four guys around him is wild. And that puck went in. It could have been a dagger, but it wasn't. It was really the Oilers played composed after that. And even during that, I mean, it could have been 3-0, really.
Yeah.
Composure, patience, and, not having to rely on the same guys. It was great.
Yeah, for sure. An interesting play on that 1-0 goal. Did you notice McDavid? He never misses the puck. And he didn't miss the puck at the blue line, but he didn't play it at the blue line, bounced off the boards, and then that's what led to the Marchand breakaway. I looked at it 2 times after because I was like, how the heck does Connor McDavid not grab that puck? Well, I realized he was worried there was a change happening and it was going to be too many men. So he actually didn't touch that puck because he was worried it would have been a penalty, I think. And then it ends up being a really good chance for Marchand. And then not a great goal from Skinner. really, Skinner was shaky early. Listen, this was an important start for him, and he was shaky, but I thought he did a pretty good job, TR, in kind of stealing himself and rebounding and bouncing back. Like, he was pretty solid after a real shaky opening period.
As far as the McDavid play, I didn't notice that. I did notice the puck was slipping off great players' sticks all night, though. It seemed to me that a few players with weird giveaways that normally wouldn't do it, starting with Patrice Bergeron. And what was the second thing you brought up there? Oh, Skinner.
Yeah, Skinner. Just his bounce back night, right?
Well, it's hard. Look, it's hard to go in Stuart Skinner's position tonight. It's hard to go into Boston and come out with a win, okay? What's harder is when you're down 1-0. And what's even hardest is when you're down 1-0 and you should have had the first goal, and it's immediate. It's not like that went in the second period off a deflection. It was his fault. Well, partly his fault, and it was early, and in a place that you don't want to give up an early goal. And all the analytics said that, it was a 1 in 50 chance, which it kind of was. And they, like I said, patience, composure, and starting with Skinner. I mean, if he wasn't sharp after that, there's no chance, right?
For sure. Yeah, and that's not easy when you've let one or two in that you didn't like. Well, he let 3 in, to be honest. One of them ended up getting called back, but he bounced back. And I think about the huge save that he made. I'm kind of skipping ahead a little bit here right now. But that McLeod goal, the tying goal, you remember, you back up like 10 seconds and Skinner had made that massive save at one end of the ice. Then back it goes the other way. Those are just those key moments, right? Where sometimes, and I remember thinking to myself, remember that save. And then all of a sudden, boom, down at the other end. So the Oilers had to play patient. Didn't get much in the way of shots or shot attempts in the second period. Boston is ridiculous the way they can shut things down, TR. Like, nobody in the league allows fewer goals against than the Boston Bruins. They allow almost a full goal against less than the Oilers do on a night-in, night-out basis. So the Oilers were trying to slog their way back against a team that's not easy to come back on, and it was patience, but it was depth players, because McDavid was having a heck of a time. I feel like he didn't have the puck all night.
Yeah, they were on him, and even a couple times he had it and he got going, and, it just either slipped off his stick or it was a bad bounce. It was one of those nights that it didn't feel off the hop that McDavid was going to dominate. Now, again, it is the Boston Bruins, and they are on pace to break a record here, or many records with him. So, I mean, I can't say I didn't expect that. Of course they're going to play those guys hard, but that's when you need people to step up. I mean, if this is the Oilers and this is what you wanted and this is what fans for years have been waiting to see, this is what they've been missing in the playoffs, not only from the depth players, but like you said, from a guy like Skinner to make that save. What are you used to seeing from the Bruins? Exactly that. A goalie to make a big save late, the veterans to step up, and some guys like Hathaway or whoever it might be. I say Hathaway, he's only been there a short time, but I love the way he plays. He finishes all his hits. And it's a playoff type of guy. And the Oilers play playoff type of hockey, and they have been. And before I go any further, Bouchard looks like a different defenseman.
Yeah.
I know that there's one thing to analytically improve, and I don't know. I assume that his analytics have skyrocketed. But he looks confident. He looks poised back there. He makes the right play. He's still taking chances. He just gets himself back into the right position. I don't know if that's Ekholm, or I don't know if it's addition by subtraction, getting rid of Barry, a big right-hand shot that might be a veteran presence, and looked at as someone that probably was ahead of him. I don't know what it was or is, but he's really played well.
Yeah, it's a good pickup, TR, and we've been talking about it on the podcast since the trade deadline. By the way, we really appreciate all the comments coming in, and we're going to get to a bunch of them in our takeaways segment. So TNR and I are going to break the game down a little bit, and then we're going to get to your guys' comments and questions, and we'll have a little bit of interaction. But it's a great point on Bouchard. So since Matthias Ekholm has come around, it's the organization putting a lot of confidence in Bouchard by trading Tyson Barrie. And, if they were going to win, it was going to be with Evan Bouchard, a big part of things. And so what they did is they sent him the message, we believe in you. They traded Tyson Barrie, bit of a risk in doing that, but the power play has looked pretty good since then. Bouchard's 5-on-5 game, his overall game, TR. I don't know, man. As a young player, when an organization trades a guy that is clearly right in front of you on the depth chart and they look at you and say, your turn, we believe in you, that has to mean a tremendous amount. I mean, you've been in that position, a young guy just looking for people to believe in you.
Yeah, and it seems so obvious now. Now it's a small sample size, but this is a different player we're watching. Just from confidence, the way he handles himself out there, the body language, everything I'm looking at is a different player. I got to be honest. I know it's it's a very young career, and a guy with so much promise, and in junior and in minor hockey, I'm sure has always. It's no fluke that he's where he is, but I'm saying that if you look to me at times in the past year and a half, as he struggled, he was behind, he wasn't confident in himself. I didn't see the same Bouchard that I saw maybe 3 or 4 years ago at a junior level. But good guy, he's really picked it up. Now, I'm not sure. The more I look at Ekholm, the more I see a little bit of Jake Muzzin. Just in the way he plays out there, he's around the same size. And it seems to me that players, I don't know if it's confidence or that veteran presence, but they seem to make players around them a little bit better and a little more confident. I don't know if that's it, but Bouchard to me looks like a different player completely.
Yeah, Ekholm's been a real stabilizing force. So what went through your head when you saw Connor McDavid clutching his legs the way he was clutching his legs, clearly in pain on the ice there, TR?
Do you know what honestly, what the first thing came to my head? Hopefully he's not hurt for the regular season, because I want to see him do it. I'm enthralled by the season he's having, and I want to see 70 goals. I want to see 65. I want to see 150, 155. I don't know. You guys might have been breaking it down. I didn't realize that he was in such an elite company that if he gets, I think 155 plus, there's only 3 players ever to do it. And I've been Gretzky all the way and Lemieux all the way. I always have been. To this point, I say it's a relative dominance, but he's starting to lap the field the way those guys did, and I think it's brilliant. And I hate to be selfish as a selfish thinker, but it wasn't a media cup. It was like, I want to see him play the maximum games. I want to see the Oilers do well, but hopefully he's not hurt, because I want to see 60 goals. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
No kidding. I mean, it was definitely nervous moments, because he looked like he was in a lot of pain. Real unfortunate play there with Derek Ryan. Just kind of got both guys looking in the wrong direction and kind of tangled up there. Looked ugly for a minute. But, he finished the game and looked real happy after the win. Looked like he was fighting off some pain in the on the bench in between. But good sign that he got out there. I thought he was skating well and finished the game well. They made it kind of more nervous at the end than it needed to be. They have 3 cracks at that open net? That was ridiculous. Nugent Hopkins had one. Connor had one. They had 3 chances to salt that thing away.
Yeah, it would have been ironic, because the biggest example of blowing the game on the empty net was against me. You remember in Dallas, Oilers? Yeah. Maybe 15 or 6. Was it Hemsky that went down and scored?
Yeah, Stoll up to Hemsky. Yeah, Ray Ferraro went nuts on the broadcast, just chewing on, who was it? I want to say maybe Patrick Steffen or something like that, for just not making a hard play at the net there. Yeah, that was unreal. And I thought about that too. I thought about that too a little bit. I was like, oh boy, could it be?
Well, Nuge had it. I mean, that was Pee-wee. And then McDavid, to have Connor McDavid with the puck in front of an empty net with just a defenseman, you'd think. I mean, I would say 9 out of 10, but I would say I'm wrong. 99 out of 100. 999 out of 1,000. That was wild.
No question about it. Depth, right? McDavid just didn't have a lot of space to operate, and the Bruins' defense really has something to say about that. That Orlov is something else, man. Putting up all kinds of points, but he's a heck of a defender. The way the rest of those guys play, they did a really good job on McDavid for most of that game. And so on a frustrating night for him, it's time for other people to chip in. So you look at the contributors tonight. Evan Bouchard, how confident a shot is that? A 4-on-1, and you pick your spot and you fire it, which I think is a smart, intelligent, but more than anything, TR, that's a confident play from Bouchard to shoot in that spot.
And there are times that he wouldn't have taken that shot for sure. So that's the other thing. Not only, I mean, as a fan, you look and you assume so much, but that was him saying, "Look, this is me. I'm confident. I'm here. I'm going to take that shot." And I'm going to be confident doing it. I'm not going to apologize. I think I'm not going to say that defines for me what the trade has been so far. But I mean, if I'm the Oilers, I'm pretty pumped. And not only that, you mentioned earlier about bottling up The Oilers players that are used to having a bit more room. But they did. I thought that, the Oilers are playing the Bruins. It's not like they play them a lot, right? So you're learning something. And the Bruins at times were bottled up as well. And I thought the Bruins, they play well positionally, whether it's forward or whether they're on offense or defense. They really play well positionally. Yeah. So it's tough to get open because of that. And it's almost defense by committee, and that can be, especially when you're that good and that big and that confident. I can see how it would be rough. And with the third, fourth line, the guys that don't usually chip in, when they do, it's usually a great feeling, especially on the road. Did you see how happy McLeod was after he scored that goal?
Oh, man. Wow. I mean, it's been a bit of a drought for him, right? And a major drought for Evan Bouchard, too. So you've got guys that are getting themselves off the schneid, depth guys. Bouchard isn't so much a depth guy, McLeod more. But, I mean, for those guys to contribute in a game this meaningful, that is going to be a big confidence boost for them, because let's face it, on this team, playing with this group, I imagine a lot of nights, kind of watching Connor and Leon and Zach and Nuge kind of do their thing. And for those guys to chip in the way they did tonight, boy, that helps the confidence for those guys.
Well, first of all, that's what they're going to need. If that really is, if they do meet each other, it would be in the Stanley Cup final. Yeah. Certainly, I'm thinking a lot of the hockey world. I'm not saying it's likely that they will, but it's certainly not too unlikely. It's not way out of the realm of possibility that those teams will emerge. And if they do, that's what you're going to need. I fully expect, in those kind of games, I fully expect McDavid and Draisaitl are going to play like that. And I'm down the list of Nuge. But I also expect that Marchand and Bergeron and Krejci and Pasternak, they're going to bring their game too, right? So it's a large part, especially in the playoffs, as we know and as we say every year, and is proven every year. You need games like that, right? Now, once in a while, that'll happen. Now, they play again, maybe McDavid gets a hat trick, but it can't always be on the great players every night, right?
Yeah, for sure. And they'll be on the big stage here on Saturday night too against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay, that was the breakdown. So we appreciate those of you that stuck with us on the stream through that absolute shit show that was the first 4 minutes. So thanks for hanging in. And now let's get to some interactions. Our takeaway segment tonight is going to be taking some comments and questions off the stream. Takeaways is brought to you by Sherwood Buick GMC, #1 GMC dealership in all of Canada, 5 years running. They actually have trucks in stock down at the dealership, or they can get them in short order. The staff is fantastic. The process is streamlined. Financing is quick and easy. Go see Phil and the crew at Sherwood Buick GMC. Tell them Got Your Back sent you. I just bought a Sierra 1500 and just had some nice running boards put on. The back sprayed, so it's all souped up. Beautiful truck. If you're in the market, Sherwood Buick GMC is a great place to go. We're going to get to the Weiss Johnson Twitter mentions here. TR, you up for taking some questions and some comments? I'll just read some out here, and you can kind of chirp in. Oilers' fourth line did a great job against Boston's top line, says the real Todd Hall. Boy, when you're out there against those guys, it almost feels like something's gone wrong in the matchup game, but not necessarily the case tonight. They did a good job against that line tonight. Anytime your fourth line can go out and play those guys, it's pretty impressive.
Well, it's one thing to be sufficient, but they actually had chances. And speaking of McLeod, we just spoke about him. He had a couple of chances against the top line right out in front of the net. He should have shot it earlier. I'm glad he got that one. It paid off at the end, but they just weren't out there bottling up their top players. They were generating chances themselves, which, would give me a lot of confidence if I'm an Oilers fan or coach.
No question. What else we got? How worried are you guys about goaltending going into the playoffs? What do you think, TR? I feel like Skinner's bounce back tonight. Tonight could have been a bad one. Tonight could have been one if he didn't bounce back and this ended up being a 3-4 goal spread and Skinner didn't make some of those big saves. But I think it could have been bad, turned into a confidence-building night. Jack Campbell hasn't really found his game with any consistency. TR, what do you think about Skinner as a starter heading into the playoffs?
Yeah, I was listening to you and Gregor talk about that. I'm with you, and I know Skinner's been better up to this point, but I don't think there's any real need to come out and declare it right now. I think that both guys have although can be streaky, it's been Skinner's net for the most part. It should be right now. If it ended, of course it would be. But Campbell is a good goalie. He's merely playing sufficient, streaky if nothing else. But going in, of course, would it be a big-time worry? No. I would be a little bit tentative as to what my decision would be, but there's a lot of hockey left, and I really believe that something would present itself. It usually does before the playoffs start, and in the end, at least you know you have two good goalies. If nothing else, the backup excelled this year. Hometown guy, I have every bit of confidence that these guys will rise to the occasion, whoever it is. Preferably, if it's me, Skinner right now.
The point that I want to make heading into playoffs here is if Skinner is going to have to take this ball and run with it, I think one of the things that the team needs to do between now and the playoffs is let him play through some tough starts. In other words, his leash has been really short this year, TR. Every time he doesn't have a good game or it's a little bit off or he plays okay but the team loses, they go with the other guy, like immediately. And I think in the playoffs, you need to learn how to bounce back. You need to learn how to not be thrilled with your game Thursday and throw a fantastic game out there Saturday. And I don't think Skinner's had a lot of those opportunities. So I would like to see them, certainly he should start again against the Toronto Maple Leafs on the weekend. I'd like to see them stick with him a little bit, give him a little bit of that starter's respect, and let him work his way through some starts that aren't ideal. I think it's important for them to do that with him between now and the playoffs.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. The Maple Leafs would be another big important game. So, these are basically playoff games before the playoffs start. And, of course, even though he's got a lot of NHL hockey under his belt now, he's still young. And, yeah, I see where you're going with that. I can't disagree.
Philly Bean, 84, in the Weiss Johnson Twitter mention says, Marchand reminds me of Nose-Face Killer with half the skill. Disappointing Skinner let in his softy. Tell us who Nose-Face Killer is. He's part of the Spit and Chicklets crew, isn't he? Or someone you've gotten into it with before or something? Or where's that from?
He is. He's part of that Spit and Chicklets ball hockey thing. But yeah, same sort of thing, I suppose, in a relative world. Annoying, get under your skin, and, but at the same time be a great player. That's no secret. Marchand, he's grown on me a little bit. Some of the antics I could do without, but
he's toned him down a little, though. Like, there hasn't been too much, hey? I'm just trying to think.
No. Like, when I look at Sean Avery out there, there's something that disgusts me about it. I'm not sure. The way he handles himself. Like, if I was a member of the union, the PA, which I was, like, that would kind of, some of the things he said in interviews, I thought it went over the line. Marchand is he's tread that line. But I think he's the type of guy that his teammates seem to like him, and he's growing on me. It's the way he plays. I mean, it's Marchand. What are you going to do?
Yeah, for sure. 45 years they've been in the business over at Weiss Johnson. Should you need a new furnace, garage heater, air conditioner, hot water tank, or any of these things serviced, Weiss Johnson is definitely the place to go. They're Edmonton's #1 choice for heating, air conditioning, and plumbing services. Give them a call. I was chatting with Dennis today, massive Oiler fan. He was fired up about the game tonight. We were chatting about the lineup and what it might look like. Dennis has a funny way of being able to predict stuff. I'm not sure. He's got a pretty good feel. I might have to have him on the podcast sometime. Anytime. Anyways, that's Weiss Johnson here in Edmonton. How long do you think it will take for Kane to get going, says Sean Lacey. Boy, he hasn't played a lot of hockey so far this year, TR, but, the wrist injury was one thing. He was able to skate a lot. He was able to really stay engaged with his legs. But the problem with missing that much hockey is you finally get back. Everybody else is deep into the season. They're like 60 game intensity, whereas you're still in like game 25, 28 of your sort of flow. Tough time of year to try and reintegrate yourself in with the way everybody around you is playing deep into the season.
Yeah, man, and especially now, I mean, can you think of a more difficult situation to I mean, I know that he's an NHLer, he's a pro, he can do it, but, coming in against Boston on the road after all those games, and I thought it was all right. I thought he got the puck in behind the D a couple times, really finished some hits hard, kept it simple down low. I mean, I have no worry about Evander Kane coming into the playoffs. If he's healthy, like what's the saying? The best ability is availability. When it comes to him in the playoffs, I fully believe that. I think if the way he brings, what he brings to the table, how confident he's been with the veterans around him to guide him, and keep him on the straight and narrow, I could only see good things from that guy in the playoffs as long as he stays healthy.
Hey, what did you think of Vinny Desharnais? Once again, they go with 6 defensemen here. And just let me pull his statistics real quick. We did have a comment here on Desharnais. Where is it? This is from Commando Pisani. Solid name. Desharnais looked great tonight. He was in on the 4-on-1 goal, and I saw around the Bruins net a bunch. Yeah, so he was kind of all over it in this game tonight. 14:54 he played. His minutes just continue to creep their way up there. He was -1. Didn't have any shots, but 14:54 for Desharnais. He just takes up a lot of space. What do you think of him, TR?
I like him. I like his improvement, his evolution as a player. You can already see it. And he's starting to be a little tiny bit more patient with the puck. When I see players, to me, that's a symbol of confidence. It's easy to see when a forward who's supposed to have the puck a lot starts to get a bit of confidence, right? I don't know. Let's say Dylan Holloway, right? Earlier in the year, all of a sudden he starts carrying it. I remember right around the time he scored his first goal, right? It was no trouble to see that was going to come because you could see it with your own eyes. With a D sometimes, especially a stay-at-home, a big guy like that, there's different signifiers. And to me, it's just hold the puck that little extra bit, getting it off the glass, maybe not whacking it down the ice right away is make your look, you're on the ice with some great players, making that outlet pass. And I see him getting a little bit more patient every game. Everything else about his game I love, and it's only young, so I'm excited to see where his career goes.
What do we think about Draisaitl on the defensive side of the puck these last few games? Asks at Real Todd Hall 78. Seems like fewer blind passes and very hard back checking. I would agree. We were getting on Draisaitl a little bit. He was still putting up points like you expect him to maybe 5-6 games ago, TR. But he was on the wrong side of a couple of other elements. Sort of that body language stuff, right? Where a pass wouldn't, he's giving her this one, or he's constantly doing this with his hand, like what the heck and all that. Just on the wrong side of that. And that was happening fairly consistently, but he was still doing his job and he was still getting points. So you're not going to criticize too much. But he's gotten back on the right side of that. And I find he's putting his head down and he's back checking more consistently now. And I find he's hanging on to the puck. Like, he's so good with it on his stick. Why waste it, with an ill-advised pass? I think he's so good when he hangs on to it.
Yeah, I mean, you can say, I need to go no further. The 2 goals he scored last weekend, the backhand up top and the shot just up over, was it Hellebuck up over his shoulder? It was just
it was
beautiful. It was like watching an artist at work. And people talk about the patience, and it is. Both goals, immaculate patience. He gets it down here. He gets down close to that line, man, and he scores a lot of goals like it. Kind of an Ovi kind of goal, but Ovi has a better angle. He comes in real close. So that's one example of patience, right? Shooting. And passing, I don't know. I'm always ready to throw those guys a bone a little bit. Mm-hmm. I know he gives it away here and there. I'm more worried about the body language.
Me too.
He gives it away a bit, but but he'll thread the needle more than he won't. But it's the body language. And as long as it seems that, if that's not around, that he's more positive, not only as a player, but a teammate. But, you can see that. I don't know what it is as a player. There's a lot of players out there. But think about when you play the game. That's addictive, right? People see that. And it really is, like, it's cancerous. Even if you don't want it to be, I'm sure he's a great teammate. He doesn't usually, some people, we could talk all of the other major sports. I can think of somebody that uses body language and then after the game maybe rips his teammates. But not so much. He does that, and you can tell sometimes he's probably lashing out, but he usually says the right thing after. It's more of a temperament thing.
Yep.
And if he can hold it, maybe it's a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's, we're kind of splitting hairs on one of the best players on the planet. Really like this comment from Omar over on YouTube. Little thing I noticed is Ekholm consistently communicating with Bouchard during the play, yelling and giving him a heads up. And I feel it helped Bouchard a lot. Communication on the ice. Like, think about the change here for Evan Bouchard. He went from having to play on a pairing with Philip Broberg most of the year, a rookie coming in, and having to be the elder statesman on the ice, to all of a sudden a 12-year guy that's got everything under control, as Omar points out, is communicating a lot with him and has the defensive side totally locked in. But that communication, just veteran presence from a guy like Ekholm on that pairing.
Yeah, and that's directly part of the reason that you get him. I mean, I can't believe that we're in the day and age that you have to come out and prove that so much, or at least try to make that point so magnified. But, these players are, Ekholm's a great player, but you bring him in as much for that veteran presence. Like, to me, I don't know what kind of a deal he got out there as a fan, but Duncan Keith just did a little bit more than what you saw. And that was a similar kind of thing, Every team, every year, teams that win, teams that are successful, usually have not only the obvious either. I mean, in the history of hockey, of course, there's been Steve Yzerman, but on that team, I don't know, Kirk Maltby, or whoever it might be, a veteran that brings a young guy at the time up, or Danny Cleary, or whoever it would be, right? And again, I know it's a small sample size, but to me, Bouchard is not only playing with more confidence, he's a completely different player. And it's not like he's staying back more. Both guys take chances, right? They just cover for each other, and I think it's a bit of a yo-yo, and they're starting to respect the fact that, you know what, he's not too much different than I am, and maybe, I can learn from this, and, it's wild to watch.
Quick look at the scoreboard tonight. And again, we're taping this around 9 o'clock here Mountain Time. What are you, 12:30 there, TR? Like you're pretty late there, hey? 4-3 Golden Knights pick up the extra point against the Tampa Bay Lightning. They beat the Lightning in overtime. Seattle's in one tonight against the Ottawa Senators. They're down 3-1 at this point. So anyways, LA 3-1. They're leading the Colorado Avalanche in the third period. So sorry if this is dated and you're listening tomorrow, but just checking in here on the live stream is obviously Oiler fans watching the standings a tremendous amount. All right, man, that was lots of fun. I have to say, TR, when you get deep into thought, like,
oh no,
no, you go all in, man. Like you go all in, and you're so passionate about what you're saying. Multiple times tonight, you have forgotten that you are on video, and you have sat there with your eyes closed, talking on the phone, just thinking and visualizing and imagining, and I could just see it going through your head. It's a beautiful
what's funny?
Depth of thought.
I honestly, it's much easier for me if I literally put myself right there. And if I put myself right there, and I was just thinking the last time I was doing that, I was talking about Draisaitl, like you said, we're splitting hairs, but I didn't like that body language, and I used to say it, and there was a couple of times, and I took myself right there in Seattle with Langkow, and just going, Lanks, I'm sorry, I hate that. Yeah. When I hate that, I was very honest with him. I remember having that conversation, but I closed my eyes and I'm right there. I can even see what we're wearing after the game, about to get on the bus. It's wild, You just
take yourself right back there, hey?
Well, yeah, because I find the best things to comment on, or the most interesting things to comment on, are things that you can relate to. And you don't need to be in the NHL to relate to something like that, right? I mean, that happens in minor hockey. And it's just that it's not always someone trying to be a jerk. Sometimes, like I do think it's a temperament thing, and I take myself to what I know as a player, I guess, and a person.
By the way, we're kind of done with the hockey portion. If anybody has any questions for TR about what it's like to be on set shooting Shoresy, you know what, TR, I'm fascinated by this stuff, man. The fact that you actually get to roll up onto the set of a television show that's actually going to be on television and live that life. And just be on set shooting. I'm happy for you. I am so jealous, man. I would love to experience something like that. So I don't know if anybody has any questions about what it's like being on set. When are you going, and how much are you looking forward to it, buddy? Season 2.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to it now, especially the first time. The first time we went, I didn't really know what it was. I mean, I knew the characters. I knew Letterkenny. I knew who Shoresy was. and I had read some of the script, but I didn't know how they were going to produce that. I had no idea what kind of an impact it would make, who would watch it, what the audience would be. I wasn't even really sure about my role, to be honest. It's not like I had all 6 episodes in front of me. I had what I auditioned for and maybe another 30 pages of dialogue.
So how does it
really
work then?
Didn't know.
Just let me ask you a question. So how does it work? You find out you get the part. Do you basically just get the scripts episode by episode? So you just get a script one day and you're like, okay, these are all the lines I have in this episode. And how many days would it take to shoot an episode? Do you shoot things in order? Or is it all messy and out of order?
That's all great questions. Most of it's out of order. For example, we'll go, I know last year, like we did 2 weeks of the on-ice hockey stuff first. That's going on but just so we can get it. And so you're coming in and you're doing part of like episode 4 and then part of episode 1. And then, so that's why the big part of the crew is continuity, right? People that really pay attention to what you're wearing, your 5 o'clock shadow, like every little thing, there's detail. Now you try to shoot it in order. Most of the time you are going in order, for that reason. But, a lot of it is not. And then there's stunts, things like that. So you have to rehearse. But for me, I didn't have an agent going into that first year when it came to acting. So I probably would have been a bit more informed. Now I do, and I'm much more informed about everything. But I didn't even really, at first, realize because of that I was such a prominent character in the show. I auditioned for what I wanted to. They asked me, was I available these dates? So I knew that I was in it, but I didn't realize as much of a speaking role. But that's unique. Normally you would, yeah. We're leaving in 3 weeks. I haven't read the scripts yet, but I kind of know now where it's going to go and my role in it. So, I can start preparing now. That's
so cool. I know you got to be real careful. You can't give out any information or whatever, but season 1, lots of people, I get all kinds of comments about it. We got comments here on the stream. David Tan says Shoresy needs a road show because they took Letterkenny on the road, didn't they? Didn't they do a road show with Letterkenny of some sort? Anything in the works?
They did. So I'm not sure. And again, I don't want to talk out of turn, but I'm sure
sick.
There's not. I'm not giving much away here.
Yeah,
I believe,
okay.
I truly believe that they plan to do something like that, and I think it might be at least part of it be like a charity hockey game sort of thing, like where we're on the ice because we do have everybody in the show, even the useless we call them. Even those guys in the dressing room that we left, they're all hockey players, right? They're all junior A or whatever.
You call them the useless?
Yeah, it's wild, right? So, and even Jared Kiso, right, who plays short, he played 2 years in junior A, all the way up. So, I mean, everybody can play. I think that'd be a little bit of fun. Like, you do those alumni charity games, I think something like that. And then, of course, maybe some kind of show. I don't know exactly what they're planning, but put it this way. From what I've heard, I would be real surprised if we don't do something like that. And if we do, we'll be pretty much going to every hockey play in town near you. So
that'd be awesome. Mike D asks, TR, do you hang out with the cast outside of the shooting window while you're on location? And you shoot in Sudbury, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, that's another great question. I've worked on a lot of shows, and this one, by far, we hang out the most. And I think that's the hockey player in all of us, and not just the guys, the girls too. But we're kind of stirring that drink. Like it's more of us than not are players that have played on teams that have come. Like I said, that there's something to be a hockey player. Part of what's happening in the show is real. Like we are getting to know each other in Sudbury. A lot of meta reality, you could call it. And we're staying in the hotel, and what are you used to do? And coming back and going, hey, let's go, boys. Let's go get a bite to eat. And in this case, the girls and whoever else. So even the crew, we generally on that show, again, unique to that show, every Friday or Saturday, there's a couple of days we'll try to give everybody off. And usually it's the same. And the crew will all try to get together and, have a big meal and some drinks. And at least 20 of us, if not more.
We've been trying
every week.
We've been trying to get Kiso on the podcast basically since we launched. But this is the thing about him. he wants other people to take some of the spotlight. He wants other members of the cast to be able to go out and do some of that media. So he doesn't do a lot. We'll keep trying. Nope. We'll keep bugging his PR team, and maybe at some point we'll get him on. But he wants other people to experience the spotlight. He seems like a real team player. Is he as big a beauty in real life as he seems like he is?
Even bigger, honestly. I can't say enough. I didn't know what to expect, and he really stayed loyal to me. You know, he gave me that rug. I had one scene in Letterkenny. I think it was in season 8, the hockey season, and it was a long scene, and we had a lot of fun with it. And he said he'd stay in touch, and he'd have something else for that character. And in the scene, it was Ted. I didn't know it was going to be Ted Hitchcock. I didn't know anything. I didn't know I was going to be back. And I thought he meant Letterkenny season 9, but then I got the call, like I said, a couple of years ago. If I was interested in doing Shoresy and send in an audition, and they were excited, and Jarrett was excited to have me. So I wondered why, but he just said he'd stayed in touch. He was listening to my podcast. As soon as we got up there, he was interested. He knew all of our careers. Myself, Jordan, Nolan, Brandon Nolan, John Moraski, Andrew Goodleaf. He was aware of all of us. I don't think it was all fluky how it went down. I think he knew each and every one of us that were who he wanted. And when we got there, we just started telling some stories. We had one of the first nights, we had a bite to eat and some beers together. I mean, and all the actors, all the crew. He's very, very adamant to include everybody, and so am I. I love that. And it's a hockey playing kind of set. We all hang out, and he's a genuine guy, and whenever he has an idea or is curious, bounce ideas. I don't know. A week doesn't go by. I don't speak to him in some way. So there you go.
Well, he's a huge Calgary Flames fan, so maybe that's why he's ducking the podcast this year, because he doesn't want to come on and answer questions about the Flames and what the heck's going on. Like, he's a big Flames fan, hey?
Big time, yeah. Nothing about him is for show. If he says it, he means it. But he's, when we go. He's got his drinking hat. It's a Calgary Flames hat, about 20 years old. And, he's the kind of guy that remembers, statistics from the mid-'80s. It doesn't surprise me. But he's a real hockey fan. A lot of what you're seeing on Shoresy is, his fandom as a kid, because it's not only, it's recent, but a lot of what's happening in Shoresy is a bit of a throwback to the classic hockey fan. And they're growing up, right?
For sure.
Yeah,
no, that's good stuff. We had one other question here, and then we're going to let you go, TR, because I know it's getting late out there. Real Todd Hall 78 says, is there lots of improv? So what he asked is, if it's out of order, do you remember your lines before each scene, or do you have to remember them for a whole episode, and is there lots of improv?
Yeah, there's more memory than any other show.
It's fast dialogue, man. It's snappy.
It's a lot of dialogue, and there's ways around it if you kind of screw up and you do, if you do a 3-minute scene, there is ways to clip out. But for the most part, no, we remember, for example, if I work on a show here, Hudson and Rex, a couple of shows, Surreal Estate's another one.
That's awesome.
Son of a Critch, right? So I work on those shows as crew and sometimes background. Once in a while I get as an actor. So on those shows, Hudson and Rex is good. 4, 5, 6 pages would be a long scene, okay? And on Letterkenny, on Shoresy, we frequently do them 20 pages plus.
Wow.
We'll all, and a lot of the time, when we're in the room and the girls come in and the owners and they want to get to the bottom of something, we're all in the scene, everybody in the show at once. So you might go 3 pages without speaking, and then 3 out of 7 lines, and then so. There is a lot to it, but it's a bit of fun. We just get together, have a bite, maybe have a drink. We all get in a room or go out to dinner somewhere and go over the lines. It's a bit of fun, but it is a lot of memory. And as far as ad-libbing, sorry, I sound stuffed up. I got a real bad allergy here, but
that's okay.
As far as ad-libbing, no. You see, the writing I find is so creative, and it's all based on wordplay. So, they write that for a reason. So I would never want to offend somebody in a show that's so based on wordplay.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this, that when it comes to my lines personally, part of the gag is that I say them real fast, and that Dolo, my D partner, speaks French, and I speak English, Newfoundlandese, we would call it. And, we understand each other fine, but a lot of other people can't. And so he's like, part of the gag is that you have to speak like a lot of Newfoundlanders. We're not laughing at you, we're laughing with you. But, he was very adamant as well not to make Newfoundlanders look stupid. That was kind of a worry of mine at the beginning.
Yeah, of course.
I'm like, I don't want this to be some, how many Newfoundlanders does it take to screw in a light bulb?
No. Just unique.
We're never going to do that.
Just unique. Beautifully unique.
Yes. So my lines, I do get to twist a little bit because, but for the most part, I stay in line. And no, if we have like an idea that we think is going to be funny, it would be absurd to just drop it in the middle of the scene. I think everybody would say, "What the hell are you doing?"
What the hell? Because it would throw everybody off, right? Because the timing is so tight. It would throw everyone off if you didn't say what you were supposed to. It really would.
Yeah. There's some shows like Curb Your Enthusiasm that's encouraged, I hear.
Yeah.
But at our particular show, they have an idea. They know exactly what they want going in, and I just try to, before each scene, I ask Jake and Terry, the director, and Jared, and there's a producer or two over there that might want it. I just go over and say, look, here's this, here's this, here's this. How would you like me to deliver it? In other words, I'm only going to bring flavor to the character that you want, and you tell me how to do it. Kind of the opposite of ad-libbing, but there is a way to add a presence to it that's unique without having to be yourself,
Yeah. Interesting. So can you take what you've done on Shoresy and what you're going to do in season 2? I mean, you had a great demo reel before. Like you've been in some awesome scenes. If people don't know, you were in a fantastic scene in... What was the movie with Jason Momoa? First scene where you died. You were murdered in the first scene. What movie was it? Frontier. Oh, it was amazing. Yeah. What was your line? Give us your line. You were like, he had you on your knees.
Please have mercy.
You were like, please have mercy.
That's it. Yeah. Please have mercy. Have mercy. And that was it. That was my opening because I'd done a couple of stunts on Republic of Doyle, but I was. Yeah. When people think that just came out of nowhere. Like, I was 5 years crew, like at Jump How High crew.
That
like
is grinding, man. That is grinding. I was grinding. The East Coast League.
It was a long time and happy with it. It was a nice little paycheck and I was I was thrilled to have that job. I just talked my way into some stunts. And when that happened, we see when you needed at the time, 3 comedy, you had to speak on camera, but you also needed, so a stunt is an acting credit.
Right.
So you can have 2 stunts and 1 speaking role. And again, most speaking roles are like actual long speaker. I had 3 words, but technically I spoke. Right. I spoke. And, I did a couple of real minor league stunts on Doyle. So that got me into the acting union. And if it wasn't for that,
once you're in, and then you can catch breaks, and you can get.
Well, the whole thing was a break, really, because I was here. It's not like if you live in, I don't know, anywhere, Flin Flon or even parts of Edmonton, like that, you can just be an actor. But I just happened to be here when all this was happening, so I could be crew, and then all year, and then I must have applied and auditioned for 20 things before the next thing came, right? And while that's happening, I got to employ, but where most people would give up and just take a job, selling insurance or whatever, I just happen to be working on the crew. So I'm going in every day. My job is right there. So, no one really even thought that I would be an actor, but I'm just around it every day. And I went to enough auditions and poked enough people and can I? And then, eventually I could afford to get like an acting gig and not have another one for 3 months and not have to quit because I wasn't like a beer rep or something. I was actually working on set and it was never a problem. I could go and go, hey guys, to the other set dressers, I have a chance to do a stunt next week on Hudson and Rex, and of course they're going to let me do it. So I got lucky from the point of view of the opportunity, but also the job that I had led the opportunity to go and do those things.
You must be able to take that tape now, though, and I mean, that's just adds to your demo reel. Like that's a major role in a television show that you can now take and try and parlay that into more opportunity if you want to. So this is the part that I'm always fascinated and curious about, though. Like one break. Well,
that's it. I signed with Ambition Talents in downtown Toronto about a month and a half ago. I think maybe a month ago. I put out a demo reel on my Instagram, so it's there to see. And I think there's 4 or 5 movies involved. But since I had a couple of auditions, I'm in a movie coming. It's on the Lifetime Network.
Sweet.
I think it's going to be called Made to Kill, MAID. There's a maid involved, and I might just be a type of a killer.
Wow.
I can't give too much away, but I did get rolled directly through that. Yeah, it's wild. So
That's awesome.
And I got 2, actually, and then right before that, there's a movie, I think it's going to be called Neighborhood, and I'm the same kind of guy. But again, you need opportunities, and I happen to get it, and now I have an agency. So I probably have an audition now every week or 2.
Absolutely love it, TR. Really looking forward to Shores. I know we're going to have to wait quite a while. But we'll check in with you on set, too. When do you actually go? When do you get taping?
I'm leaving in 3 weeks, and we'll be on camera at the beginning of April.
Yeah, so right around playoff time there. We'll check in with you periodically between now and then, though. But, yeah, it's going to be awesome, man. Thanks for letting us get way off the beaten path. By the way, somebody checked in late on the stream. Who is this? A guy named Scrub64. So he came in like 5 minutes ago while we're talking about Shoresy. He's like, watch the game. Are the Bruins players invisible? He's going nuts about the refs. So he's just like, we're not even talking about hockey. He's losing his marbles. Can't figure out any explanation for the officiating tonight. ... Waits a couple minutes. We keep talking about Shoresy. Constant interference that went uncalled. What is this? 1996? ... Waits. So sorry, Scrub64. We were kind of already done the hockey chatter, but there you go. Your venting made public. I don't know. I didn't have any massive complaints about the refereeing in tonight's game. TR, thanks, man. I know it's really late out there. I appreciate you doing this. It was really fun.
No problem. It's good to catch up. We'll talk soon. Thanks for having me again.
What a mess that was off the top, hey? Like, that was a nightmare. I'm not going to lie to you. I got a little stressed out there.
What are you going to do? Well, of course you did, but, shit. Stuff happens, and I'm sure people understand.
You can say shit happens on the podcast.
Okay, good.
Have a good one, man. We'll check in soon.
You too. Thanks again.
All right, see you, pal. That is Terry Ryan, Ted Hitchcock from Shoresy. Doing a nice job flying solo tonight on the pod with me because Jason Strudwick apparently is using a Nokia flip phone. That was uncomfortable. That was a little dicey for me, having to manage 2 bad signals in a live stream. But thanks for all your contributions and laughing along with us here on Got Your Back. When we first started the podcast, we said, you know what? We're doing all this ourselves. We're not hiding from the fact that we're doing all this ourselves. Chris in Kelowna wasn't available tonight, so this is all me tonight. And so you get us, mistakes and all. Tonight was filled with mistakes, but it was fun. Thank you for your contributions and your conversation. Really enjoying these live streams. And a big thanks, as always, to our fantastic sponsors, Mr. Dirk, DLR Vinyl Products, Sherwood Buick GMC, and, of course, Weiss Johnson as well. Oilers, Leafs, coming up in a few days. More podcasts coming your way as well. Have a fantastic finish to your night, and we'll talk soon, folks.